I'm Perry Tate from pureh2o.com.au, and I'm going to show you the spot-free window cleaning water purification unit for commercial applications. So this is capable of producing 4 to 5 litres per minute. It's got a built-in pump, so it'll be able to go up 5 stories, or you could run 2 poles off the one system. It's also plumbed primarily as an RO unit for places like Sydney, Melbourne, Newcastle, Wollongong, where the quality of the water is so good that RO only can produce a TDS of less than 10. Less than 10, the human eye can't see it, so basically you've got free water which creates a spot-free finish. It's also got plumbing, which I'm going to show you about how to push the water through DI for polishing, and that will give you the 000 that we always talk about in window cleaning, but actually is not necessary. I think anything below 20 you're pretty well safe, and you won't leave a spot on the window that the eye can see. There will be a spot but the eye won't be able to see it. So I want to show you how the plumbing works. You can see at the front here, this is just the tap water in, and we've got the tap water on, and we've got the pure water out, and then the red hose, which you'll see here, is the wastewater. So what I'm going to do is just show you quickly the TDS of what's working. If I get some of this water here, which is the wastewater, and we're just going straight through the RO. This system's got 4 RO membranes. So I know there are other systems called Quattros in the market, but they don't have 4 RO membranes. And I'll just point out that one of the filters which they use is they call it a water softener, and that's not necessary. So you can see here the wastewater is coming out at 144, right? So if we tip that out and put the pure water in. So I want to make that point. The UK systems are really built for the UK water, which has got a TDS of around 600, anywhere up to 1,000 in some places. And so they put a water softener in to take the calcium out of the water. Now most places in Australia don't have any issues with calcium, and that water softener is pointless. So if I just put this in here into the pure water and hold the result, you'll see this is coming out at 9 parts per million. No DI tank being used at all. Yep, so just straight through 4 high quality, state-of-the-art, compact reverse osmosis membranes. So I'll show you that. I might show you inside. Yeah. If we lift the lid, you can see inside that we've got the water's coming in on this side, actually going through a sediment filter, going through a carbon filter, down through the pump, which is mounted at the base, and it's really quiet. In fact, if I just turn it on now, built in here are the 4 reverse osmosis membranes. If we want to, the water's coming out the blue pipe here and coming down here, and you can see that there's blue piping and there's white piping. Now the white piping is the RO water that's actually designed just to come out here. If you go back and you turn the blue piping on and the white piping off, then you'll get 000. So why don't we test that now? That water's now going through the DI unit, and these DI units are fully replaceable. So you just ring me up and say, look, send me another 2 DI units, and we'll just send you the DI units. So you don't have to buy bags of resin or anything like that for this system. It's a little bit different if we sell a system into Perth or Adelaide, where the water's a little bit harder. So we designed the system just slightly differently for that. So you'll see there, that's the water coming out at 000. The other thing which is really good about this system as it's designed is we've got here a needle valve. So this on the waste pipe, the red water is waste, and it's coming out down the front. And as I turn this needle valve, if you see, I've got the ability to turn it like this and like that, and then when you go back, I'll turn it again, and you'll see the difference in the amount of water going to waste. Yeah. So I can change the ratio of wastewater to pure water. Now this is particularly handy if we want to increase pressure. We can also change the ratio back to 50-50 or 60-40, the ratio of pure water and wastewater with this needle valve. Yeah? So the other thing which you heard me say before is the pump is built in there, so we can now turn the pump on. And this pump is a 7.5 litre a minute, 100 psi. So it'll push the water up, guaranteed up 5 stories. Yep. Created a 12 volt power inlet. Right, it says outlet, but it's an inlet. And then you'll see all I've done is put it through to a car battery. You could get a deep cycle battery, or you could get some sealed section batteries, or you could run a cigarette lighter to cigarette lighter and run it from your cigarette lighter, we've got a built-in fuse there and a switch. So the options are yours there, nothing's going to go wrong. The only thing you don't do is you never connect two different batteries of different sizes. So the reason we don't have a small battery in there and then run the risk of having a big battery, because the power can drain straight from the big battery into the small battery and blow it up. The other thing is that those batteries are really heavy. If we build them into the system, if you've seen the trolleys, we used to have about 80 kilos, had the battery, had the hose and everything else. Lovely trolley, but you can't lift it. This system here, you know, definitely one man lift, no big issue, yeah? So it's probably weighing somewhere around 20-25 kilos, something like that. By the way, it's on 4 wheels, all of them are swivel wheels, so you can move it around wherever you want to go. I wanted to show you this. This is the wastewater. Rather than the wastewater just sitting there like that and just pouring out the bottom of the unit, quite often you'll leave the unit in your van or your vehicle. So what you'd do for the wastewater is you'd grab some 12mm hose and you'd push it onto that pipe, and then you can run that off to the garden or whatever. So my recommendation is strap this unit into your vehicle, run a tap hose. This hose will go from the tap to the system. This hose will run from the system, usually a couple of 20-metre non-kink hoses like this one here. You can run it from the system, and then you want to run it maybe 2 lots of 20 metres for residential, and then off to your clear tubing, which is the tubing that's going to push the water up the pole. Now we've got a flow control on here. I'm going to open that up fully, but if you ever need to drop the amount of water that's coming out of the brush at this point, then you can just change this flow control. By the way, this is a 35 footer or an 11.1 metre, colour coded blue. All of our poles, the blacks are 14, the reds are 6.4, the whites are 4.1, the yellows are 1.2, and the greens are a little handle. And the greys are 19.5 metres. But you'll see here that we put a joiner here. Some people want the tube to go up the pole. So if you watch here, I'll extend the pole, yep, and you'll see it just pulls the tube from the bottom up the pole, and then we can lower the pole and the tube will come out the bottom. So in this case, if you want the tube to go up the pole, then it's built into the system. Alternatively, I personally have a preference that we run the tube directly to the brush. So it comes out of the system and runs to the brush. Sometimes we tie a loose knot around the gooseneck. And my reasoning for that is that then the tubing is running down the face of the building and we run our hoses along the face of the building. And you don't have the same OH&S issue of all your hosing runs around where your feet are. Secondly, it doesn't pull all that dirt and grime up the inside of your pole and get caught in the fittings. And most importantly for me from a time and motion perspective is that if that tube there is connected to my brush directly, then I can simply unscrew my brush, yeah? If I take that tube off there, I can unscrew my brush, change my pole, so I'll go from my 11 metre pole to my 6.4 metre pole to my 4.1 to my 1.2 to my handle, always, and then just plug my tube straight into it. So whilst it's personal preference, and I do agree that if you go to 19.5 metres, you don't want the tube necessarily running down the face of the building. In a lot of cases, just time and motion, changing, using the right brush at the right time, this is the best way to do it. Just notice that we can change the angle of the brush so that we can get it exactly right against the glass. And that means that the agitation is effective. Now you'll see that system now is producing maybe 3 litres a minute. It's a fair whack of water coming out. Yeah? So we can wind that down just by using that adapter. I think that's enough for today. My name's Perry Tate from pureh2o.com.au, Pure Water Systems, and from waterfedpoles.com.au for the waterfed poles.